Yes, I do think that development is necessary to a certain extent as long as it doesn't exceed the density and the height requirements in the city plan. We've seen that when that does happen, neighbors rightfully have a right to be up in arms about that. For example, with the Kip and Davie development, there was a meeting just a few weeks ago, and I suggested that with that development, that the two parking lots on either side of them not be developed above the height of the city plan, and that we try and get some assurance from the city itself to make sure that that doesn't happen, and that the density and height does not go above the development that's going in right now. The development at Woodbine and Danforth is one that's set back, so although it is high, it is less of a concern for the shadow effect. Having high density near the subway line is good, it's environmental, and it's a win-win.
Where do all of you stand on contracting out certain non-essential services and or clawing back union benefits?
I don't believe in contracting out the services. What I do believe in is having open tender bidding, so that the unions, and this is not the lowest price as the law would be in the bid. It would be based on a number of different components. Because when we have the lowest price as the law bidding, we get the Walmart nation that nobody wants, where the only place where people can shop is Walmart because they work at Walmart, and the only place that they can cash their checks is Walmart. The unions are necessary because they're the people who brought you the weekend. 100 years ago, people were dying in their industrial homes, the places where they worked. They're an essential part of our society, and I would not claw back benefits. I would engage them, and I would use their knowledge at the front line and throughout the management cadre to get their ideas to make efficiencies.
There have been a lot of empty storefronts on the Danforth in recent years. What will you do to foster new, small business on the Danforth?
The first thing I would do to foster further development is to deal with the budget, because when we don't have the budget under control, when we have a massive debt like we do, that means we have to keep increasing taxes. Taxes do nothing but hinder development, hinder small business in particular. There's something called complete streets development. I would urge that we do that. That's a form of development where you have more people using their bikes, using their walking around, and really making their neighborhood more vibrant by not just living in their area, but also by working and frequenting the businesses in their area. By doing that, we really get amazing benefits, not just economic, but also social. You reduce policing costs, health costs. It's a win-win-win for everybody. Also, I would encourage better transit and development intensification like we have here, so that we do have that base to draw on. And if we're going to have that further intensification, we need better TTC.
Did the city get a good deal on the restaurant sole source deal?
So was the contract a good deal? No. One of the other people had mentioned that it's a seasonal operation. It shouldn't be a seasonal operation. It doesn't have to be a seasonal operation. If the bid was put out to open tender, it could be an all-season operation.
It's not seasonal.
The candidates are speaking, folks, not the audience. Thanks.
Thank you. With the right bid, it could have been open all year round. Sole source bidding has been used in other areas as well. It was mentioned previously that Grenadier Restaurant was sole source as well. Two wrongs don't make a right. $42 million in contracts last year were sole source bid. That could have been $200 million in revenue. We don't know because it wasn't open sourced. We don't know the value. We don't know the opportunities that could be presented. It could have been an amazing way for the gems of the beach and the Danforth to showcase who they are and reach out to the community. That is why it has to be open tender at all times whenever we have the ability, so that we get the true flavor of the beach. Thank you.
How do you feel about the issue of term limits?
I agree. It's about public service. It's not about self-service. And I do think there should be limits. I think two four-year terms wouldn't be long enough, because you're just getting your feet going. You can have certain skill set when you hit the ground running, like in business backgrounds, but there's much to learn. And to be an effective counselor, you have to have at least 1 or 2 or possibly 3 years under your belt to be truly effective in all gamuts of your portfolio. So So then I would suggest if we are going to have a two-term limit, that it be 10 years, or if we're going to keep the current terms, that it be 3 years, because it is public service, it's not self-service. Thank you.
What will you as councillor do to ensure homeless and people on social assistance or welfare become a greater part of our society?
I think this is very, very necessary to do, because it's much better for our economy to get people back to work rather than having them on social assistance. For the last 6 years, through my job, I've been the president of Union Local 500, and I've also been elected a second time nationally to a political action committee for my union. Through these positions, I've helped people who are on workers' compensation, who are laid off, and who are disabled come back to work. And I did it in a way that had win-win situations for both management and the employees. I reduced training times, I reduced costs, and I increased efficiencies, and that helped productivity. With regards to giving people the ability to have a place to live, absolutely we have underutilized places within our ward and within the city. Some of these places are derelict, we should just get rid of them and get the money from them so that we can put people in other places where they would have an opportunity to pay rent, where we could actually fix up those places and use them and give them a hand up, not a handout.
The Farmers Market in East Lynn Park has had a very positive economic and social impact on the neighbourhood. It relies on volunteers with no assistance from the BIA. It says 2 Ward 32 candidates list the Farmers Market on their campaign literature. The question goes, I would like to know what each one has done to warrant that mention, and how they support it, and to the other candidates, what will they do to support this farmers market in the coming years? And Brad, I think you start first.
I think this is a great initiative. I actually, I work out next to the Scarborough Civic Centre, and on Tuesdays there's a farmers market there, and I use that because, quite frankly, I don't get home in time to use the one at East Lynn. If possible, I would try and find out if we can have extended hours. I try and buy locally as much as I can, and also try and buy organically as often as I can as well. That's part of the Complete Streets development program that we have to look into. By encouraging businesses, by patronizing them, by getting people to be aware of them. This is the best way to improve our community. By lowering taxes, by taking control of the budget, that's how we can encourage businesses like that. By speaking and engaging the community, not just the business associations, but also the neighborhood associations, to find out what is the best fit for our community so we can encourage those operations to be drawn in and facilitate them somehow. Thank you.
The question is, where do you stand on the land transfer tax?
I'm against the land transfer tax, but after 8 years of deficits and a $3 billion debt, we don't have the opportunity right now to get rid of it. The mismanagement has been so severe, the downloading so bad, that there has been no management, effective management, to deal with our financial circumstances. We need somebody such as myself who can go in there from day one to get this under control, because if we don't right now, this is a structural deficit, as I mentioned earlier. This is going to go up to 1.1 billion per year by 2019. It was at almost 500 million in 2009. So as much as I hate it, we have to deal with it. And we have to include the land transfer tax as something that we pay right now. It's a necessary evil because of the mismanagement of our economy, of our budget over the last 8 years. I want to do this in a socially progressive way. I don't think it's necessary to just slash and burn, because that is not the way to do it. It's not effective, and it's not good for our city.
What are the candidates' positions on the new harmonized parking bylaw? And I would add on the parking issues in the ward generally, because I don't know what the new harmonized parking bylaw is. And I'm curious about parking, because I used to write a column about it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. It was great the way we had it. The only upside is people are being grandfathered with it. So if they did have a couple of cars parked in the driveway, they could continue to do that, unless they have a complaint. But regardless, they should be able to continue. And as Bruce mentioned, there should be the ability to also grandfather illegal parking spots and driveways. I actually received one email from somebody who said that they had met all the requirements of a parking pad except it infringed on a tree, and the current sidewalk infringed on the tree in that same way. They were actually going to replace the sidewalk with the parking pad, and yet it was disallowed. That's just ridiculous. Each area, as an example, could also have 30 permits for visitors, if that was the capacity for that area. So instead of buying a 1-week permit that costs $15 or $30, we could go online, click for a night, and pay $5. That would help. Businesses need all the help they can get as well. So they do need a lot more public parking in areas, so we support our local small businesses.
What's your stand on councillors using taxpayers' dollars to sue the media and or taxpayers for libel?
Just so you know, a SLAPP lawsuit is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. So it's meant to discourage public participation. If the councillor is doing their job and then they are sued, then I think they do have the right to some type of protection. But if they're not doing their duties, if they're breaking somebody else's lawn, and the other guy's like, dude, get off my lawn, then no, it's not appropriate.